Thank you, and good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day, and it's such an honor to always come before you and always to look at what God has in store for us every morning. Today is the second day, and like we do in this part of the world, we always Happy New Month to everyone. One of my American friends was telling me that he observed that in Nigeria we wish people like Happy New Week, Happy New Month. I say yes, not just Happy New Year. Every day we are grateful that God has kept us alive. So today is going to be the beginning of something new. Today we're going to be launching, really, like we normally say, in our church we say message proper. Communion proper, something proper. Let's use our lingo and say, okay, we are launching into the wisdom literature proper. What we have been, looking at is called, songs. We'll be looking at songs that has to do with situations. So that's the poetry part of the Bible, and but right now this is the wisdom literature part of the Bible. There are actually 3 books that are considered core wisdom literatures in the Bible. Not that other books don't contain that kind of bits of genre, call it by biblical genre. But these 3 books, the book of Proverbs, the book of Ecclesiastes, and the book of Job, those are the 3 main wisdom literatures in the Bible. And today is going to be the beginning of the book of Proverbs. I love teaching Proverbs. Some of you will know I'm an Old Testament guy. I love the entire Bible. But I do believe that if we can get an idea of the Old Testament, then you can now understand the New Testament. Like we normally say in theology, that the Old Testament is the New Testament concealed. That means within the Old Testament, the New Testament is concealed. And the New Testament is the Old Testament revealed. So we are going to be looking at wisdom, today. And of course, our theme is wisdom for life. Okay, wisdom for life. How can be anchored in God's presence? And is that anchoring that all of us look at? So this is the beginning of wisdom. And today I'm going to be presenting you the introduction to this wonderful book called the Book of Proverbs. The Book of Proverbs. And I'm going to be looking at the introduction and a bit of chapter 1. I actually wanted to show you guys some of the PowerPoints that I usually use when I'm teaching the Book of Proverbs with the School of Vision. But unfortunately, I lost my laptop. My laptop crashed and it's almost like packed up for good. So anyway, I just have to make do with what I have. So even as we arrive at this momentous gate, because you will enjoy it, you're going to find it very, very inspiring, as much as I also find inspiring in this level of our Bible, study. Think about what we've done in the past. It's as if we just washed our soul in that raw emotional current of Psalms. So I think after washing ourselves, we can now enter this something. So we now step into this sanctuary of prayer. In a way, we are entering what you might want to call the marketplace of practical execution. Let's now see how these things come to be. So today is going to mark our official launch into this book. And for the next 31 days, we're going to journey through this book, Wisdom for Life. And we're going to be learning how we can be anchoring ourselves into God's presence and what He wants for all of us. Now, when you think of Proverbs, I want you to think of Proverbs too that you have heard, maybe your native dialect or common proverbs that we've heard, and it's going to help us to understand what we're going to be learning. But as you are thinking, I don't want us to think what the Bible doesn't want to think, okay? Because the book of Proverbs is not a collection of some, abstract philosophy. I mean, I like reading philosophical writing and everything, but there are not some abstract philosophical theories that anybody can just put up. You find that the book of Proverbs is highly, what I'll call a very highly practical, is down to earth, like we normally call it, is down to earth, and is this down to earth manual that you have. And this manual has been a way designed to build character, not just to hear and move away. It's for some reason designed to build character. One, it's also designed to protect legacy. You see, it's a father, talking to his son. You see a mother talking to his son, and it also meant to govern our daily decision, making. It will help us in our decision making daily. It's going to help us even in our relationships. We're going to see help even in our speech. We're going to see help in our works. We're going to see help in our parents. We're going to see help. So it is this like toolbox that we're going to be looking at. So let's look at the way it is drawn. I call it the architecture of Proverbs. Let's look at the way it comes out. Now, in the next few minutes, I'm going to be reading out chapter 1, but I want to give you what you probably expect throughout the next 1 month. What I'm going to expect. You're going to see and what's that word I'm looking for? Maxim, right? Maxim. I mean, if we talk about the word maxim, you look at how you can make the most out of something. You are going to look at how you can maximize every single thing. You are going to maximize your learning, your study. You cannot do that if you don't understand the structure of the book of Proverbs. The same way when I teach the Old Testament survey, which is another thing that I teach, Old Testament survey, you cannot understand the Old Testament unless you understand the way it's even drawn. I teach you the Torah. The last week or so, I mentioned Tanakh. That is the Torah, the Navim, and the Ketuvim. Torah, Navim, and Ketuvim. So you're going to find out that the books of the Bible, the Old Testament, they belong to various genres. Some are historic book, Genesis, Exodus. They just give you their very historic storyline. They are prose. Then you now find the wisdom literature that we're looking at right now. You're not going to find songs. You find writing. They find the prophets. So when you understand the way the house is built, then you can look at this is a kitchen, that's a room, that's the second room, this is a parlor. So I want to give you an idea of how these things put together so that you'll be able to understand by the time we start going to it chapter by chapter. Now, the Hebrew word mishchel. That's always this when you are speaking Hebrew, even Arabic too. Mishchel. So when that word means comparison. You're looking at the law of comparison. In other words, we are going to be comparing what wisdom is and what wisdom is not. And the Bible is going to say, which one will you choose? We're going to look at wisdom. We'll look at folly. Okay. And they're also called parables. Usually in the Bible, the way the Hebrew Bible is written, the books are usually named after the first 2 words. Okay, the first 2 words. That's why they name the book. Like the book of Genesis, for example, the words you will see is Elohim Barashit. Barashit Elohim. In the beginning, Elohim God. In the beginning, God. So they call it the book of the beginning, Genesis, the book of beginning. So when you look at this one too, by the time you look at the very first few lines, that is where the word proverb comes in, the word saying. So you can call it comparison, you can call it proverb, you can call it saying. That is how they name, the book. And so this book is supposed to be like like God's own micro software for our conduct. You know how you put a software in your phone? It helps the phone to carry out some work, or you put a software on your tablet or your laptop. So this is like God putting his own software to help us. Now think about it, the law. When you think about the books of the law, Leviticus, Numbers, all those things, the book of the law, the 5 books, they call it the Torah, and that's why it's called the Pentateuch. When you talk about Pentateuch, you draw a pentagon. That is 5 books of Moses: Leviticus, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. What does the law do? The law, gives us the commandments that God wants us to follow. That's what the law does. When I look at the prophets, the prophet gives us vision, of what God wants us to know. But when it comes to wisdom, literature, like Proverbs, for example, it gives us the mechanics of daily alignment. So how do we align God's commandments and the vision that he has for us. That's how you have the proverb. So the wisdom literatures. So this literature show us how holiness looks like. Okay, how holiness looks like when we begin to manage, for example, our budgets. You are managing your executive decision in your office. You are managing your contract. You are correcting your child. You are choosing your inner circle. You are trying to get married. You are trying to go on dates. In that level, this is how you have to carry yourself. So this book is traditionally structured into 3 parts, just like the book of Psalm has about 5 books. This book traditionally is structured into 3 parts. Now, the part 1 is actually from chapter 1 to chapter 9. Chapter 1 chapter is mostly the introduction of that book, mostly introduction. The real proverb, the real sayings are now found in chapter 10 to 24 and chapters 25 to 33. So by the time you look at chapter 1 to 9, you see like a parental discussion, like a father talking to his son, a mother. So it's written in a warm, you see that kind of warm fatherly tone. And so these chapters are the chapters that form what I call the theological foundation of the entire book. So by the time he lays the foundation, then you now begin to find the collection of proverbs. So this first chapter, it talks about it sounds like a lecture that you are hearing. There is contrasting this woman. You're going to see the woman. This thing is called, what's that? Figures of speech, or is it part of speech? Figure of speech. Personification. Yeah, that's it. So personification is when you turn something that is inanimate to become animate, to like have a human form. So wisdom takes on this symbolic woman. Let's call her Lady Wisdom, or the wise woman. There's always a wise woman in everywhere. There's some wise women, you go to them, you hear. So wisdom is personified as this wise woman. And that woman is out there. Everyone, my children, come and listen. Wisdom is open to everybody. Okay, wisdom is open to everybody, but only those people who choose wisdom actually get the value of wisdom. Then after we looked at chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, then chapters 10 to 4 is focused mostly on the wisdom of Solomon. Of course, Solomon wrote thousands. Bible says he spawned Proverbs, man, thousands. I wish we have all the Proverbs of Solomon. But we don't only have a few that are collected here. So we're going to look at this vast array of one-liners, double liners. We're going to look at how life should be lived. Then eventually from chapters 25 to 35, we're going to look at proverb of other people. People who collected proverb like Hezekiah. Okay, sometimes people call it the collection of Proverbs of Solomon by Hezekiah and the companions of Hezekiah. So this gives us some advice, insight into leadership. Okay, we look at leadership, we look at stewardship, we look at emotional discipline, we look at everything painting the portrait of life, how we should live our lives. Okay, enough of that. I can go on and on this part. Let me just jump into chapter 1 of Proverbs, so you can have a taste. And it introduces itself. You're going to see from chapter 1, verse 1, it says, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. So we know the Solomon we're talking about, not just any kind of Sulaiman. This is not Sulaiman, this is Solomon, okay? Solomon, the son of David, the king of Israel. So, and it tells us immediately why these proverbs are there. In verse 2, it said, for gaining wisdom and instruction, for understanding words of insight, for receiving instruction in prudent behavior, doing what is right and just and fair. So it's telling you, this is why I'm writing this proverb. It's for you. This is to anchor yourself. In that continue by saying, for giving prudence to those who are simple. Now you're going to hear the word simple. You will say the simple. The simple is somebody, not somebody who is easygoing, not somebody who is carefree, even though he has a bit to do that. The simple proverb talks about somebody who lacks the ability to make right decision. So when you see the word, the simple, pro according to the simple, it said is to give prudence to those who are simple, to give knowledge and understanding to the young. So the simple can be anybody. to the young also. Remember, teenagers, people say, oh, teenagers have this rebelliousness. Teenagers have. So what does that happen? I mean, when your child is born, your child thinks you are the wisest person in the world. Mommy is the wisest, daddy is the wisest, they are the strongest, they can do anything, until they start growing up and they start finding out that, wait a minute, so mommy and daddy are just like me. They don't know everything. So that's when that rebellion comes. That teenage rebellion. And of course, somebody say, how do you define a teenager? A teenager is defined as somebody who thinks they have answers to everything in the world. That's a very good. So teenagers will think, me self, I know. And that is when they begin to make mistake. And Solomon continued by saying, apart from to give prudence to the simple, to give knowledge and discretion to the young, he said, let the wise listen and add to their learning. So this is not just for the simple who doesn't know right from left. This is not just for the young. This is for everybody, even for the wise. Okay, is to let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance for understanding proverbs and parable. This is also for you use it to understand other proverbs and also to understand parables, the saying and riddles of the wise. So this is like, you can use one to unlock so many things. Now, what is this wisdom built on? The foundation of all this wisdom. And that's what you see in verse 7. It said, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. But fools, when you say fools, that's people who reject knowledge. So that you see the opposite. So when you have the fear of the Lord is beginning of knowledge, then fools are those who despise. And it tells you that fools despise wisdom and instruction. So when the Bible calls somebody a fool here, is somebody who will not listen to this wise saying. So after giving you that introduction, he now gives you reason why you must embrace it. So who doesn't want to embrace this thing? So we now have this exhortation to embrace wisdom, and the warnings against imitation of a sinful man. So look at the father in verse 8. He now said, listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. So he's painting wisdom as this person, this man and this woman that is coming, is to guide you. He said they are gallants, that is guide, to grace your head, and a chain to adorn your neck. In other words, if you really follow what I'm saying, is good, is for your own benefits. The gallant is like wealth. Okay, it's like something you put on your head, like a crown. All right, it's like a crown. Like men will wear a crown, and women will wear a nice chain. So it's going to be to your own benefit. In that sense, he said, my son, if sinful men, those people who are not listening to this, if sinful men entice you, do not give in to them. If they say, come along with us, let us lie in wait for the innocent blood. He said, let us ambush some harmless soul. He said, let us swallow them alive like the grave, and whole like those who go down the pits. We will get all sorts of valuable things and fill our house with plunder. Cast lot with us. We will all share the loot. My son, do not go along with them. Do not set foot on their path, for their feet rushes into evil. They are swift to shed blood. Those men, how useless to spread the nets where every bird can see it. It doesn't make any sense. You hide it. Nobody will see it. He said it doesn't make sense. So you say the opposite. For gaining wisdom, understanding, do not follow these evil people. They will tell you to go and do this. So we are going to be looking at evil as it's calling us. That is folly. To go and do this, to lie, to be immoral, to do the whatever. So as wisdom is calling, folly is also be calling you. He said, these men lie in wait for their own blood. They ambush only themselves. So foolishness will hurt you at the end of the day. He says, such are the paths of those who go after ill-gotten gain. It takes away the life of those who get it. So wisdom now begin to rebuke from verse 20. He said, out in the open, Wisdom calls aloud. Wisdom is everywhere. If you only listen, you will hear wisdom. She raises her voice in the public square. On the top of the wall, she cries out. At the city gate, she makes her speech. How long? This is what wisdom is saying. He said, how long will you who are simple love your simple ways? How long will mockers delight in mockery and fools hate knowledge? Repent at at my rebuke. Then I will pour out my thoughts to you. I will make known to you my teaching. But since you refuse to listen when I call, and no one pays attention when I stretch out my hand, since you disregard all my advice and do not accept my rebuke, I, in turn, will laugh when disaster strikes you. I will mock when calamity overtakes you. You see, that is how a parent talks to their children. I say, hey, you go see Pepe. Since you don't want to hear, the child that says his mother will not sleep, or whatever, and that's also a saying, a wise saying. And we're going to unpack what these sayings mean and what they do not mean. Even the Proverbs in the Bible. He said, when calamity overtakes you like a storm, when disaster sweeps over you like a whirlwind, when distress and trouble overwhelms you, then they will call to me, but I will not answer. Say, I'm telling you now, do this, do that one, no. If you don't do it, you are going to cry and I will not hear you. So you can see that parental, conversation or advice. He said, they will look for me, but they will not find me, since they hated knowledge and did not choose to fear the Lord. Remember, the foundation of this knowledge is not just whatever, is embedded in the fear of the Lord. I want to fear of the Lord, that respect, that awe, and it comes by obedience. So in a way, you can interpret this wisdom as indeed knowledge applied. You can interpret this wisdom as knowledge. This is not the wisdom that just come boom from God without you. Whatever. This is actually applying the things you have hearing. So he says, since they would not accept my advice and spurn my rebuke, they will eat the fruit of their ways and be filled with the fruits of their schemes. For the waywardness of the simple will kill them, and the complexity of the fool will destroy them. But whoever listens, and I'm sure all of us here are listening, whoever listens to me, that's the wisdom, will live in safety and be at ease without fear of harm. Such a beautiful, I just love, reading this wisdom. They are so comforting. They are so encouraging. If only we will just listen. So, how do we escape this naivety of this age? What we're living right now, we actually need wisdom. We need wisdom. People need wisdom. People need to learn to listen. There's so much corruption. There's so much backwardness. Look at it's like every generation that comes is like less smart than generation before it. I'm not talking about technologically smart. They are more in terms of being able to, to act wisely. It's as if the older generation, they're always better than younger generation. And that's why Proverbs, begins by explicitly stating the operational objective. When I'm a trainer, whenever we go to train, corporate people, we look at the topic that we are training, introduce yourself. Then I say, okay, this is the objective of this class. At the end of this session, like I normally tell them, at the end of this session, given, I put it there, a caveat, given that you pay attention, given that you participate, you shall be able to learn this. So we tell them what they're going to learn before we even start learning it. So Proverbs gives us that operational objective. He said, this thing is for gaining wisdom, for gaining instruction, for understanding words of insight, for receiving instruction and prudent behavior, for doing what is right and just and fair. So that is what all of us, and by God's grace, in the next 30 days or so, we are going to be filled with so much wisdom, with so much understanding. So this text explicitly markets people that are talking, bring forth people that come the simple. The simple are the naive. They are the open-minded, people. They are the uncommitted, people who are easily swayed, by trend, by culture, by popular opinion, and they are usually young people. Okay, they've not seen anything in life, and it calls them the young men. Those are people who have energy. They have energy, but they lack structural navigation. Have you ever wondered? Try to teach your children that doing homework that you have to do for like 1 hour is more profitable than watching television for 3 hours, and they don't understand. They were like, "Well, let me watch this one." You're like, "Come on, man! You can always watch this thing. This program is there. It is on Netflix, for example. It is always there. It is on a DVD. You can rewind. It is not like a live, soccer match or whatever. Every single thing, but people will not, pay attention. So Solomon begins to reveal that wisdom is not just one elite secret that is reserved for some hidden. You have to go to a monastery or you have to join this group. And verse 20 tells us that he said, out in the open, wisdom is called aloud. So it's not hidden. The Bible says she raises her voice in the public square. So wisdom is crying out in your corporate boardroom. When you are sitting down there in your meeting, wisdom is there. Wisdom is in the city square. Bus stop, you are in the bus stop, you are in the corner, you are whatever, in the teaching platform, anywhere you are in this Zoom meeting, your family dynamics, even the way your family, so wisdom is everywhere. Unfortunately, the tragedy of human history that we have seen over is that wisdom is silent. It's not loud, unfortunately. Folly is what is loud. Folly is very loud. But wisdom, that thing that we need the most, is silent. But that humanity has somewhere developed a selective deafness to this broadcast. Now, as I'm here right now, even you, believe it or not, there are so many waves passing through you. Microwave, radio wave, TV wave, Zoom wave, every single thing. But you can only catch the wave if it's a radio wave like FM, frequency modulation or short wave. You can only find it when you have the device. One, you can have the device, will not be able to get it unless you tune to that wave. Right now, you are able to click on the link. That's why you are able to join Zoom. There are so many Zoom meetings happening right now, maybe millions of Zoom meetings, but you're not there. You are only in the one that you tune to. Television, the same thing. Telephone call, the same thing. It is the number you dial that you're going to have call. So in other words, the trend is that wisdom is silent, but people have developed a deafness to wisdom. Wisdom wave is there, but we don't tune our ears. Here are some things in that chapter 1 that I believe is going to help all of us. I call them the pillars of truth. That's going to help us. Number 1, wisdom starts with fearing the Lord. For you to be able to get the frequency of wisdom, it starts from and Solomon he said, listen, the fear of the Lord is not wisdom. There's nothing. If you want to start, that is where you start. In other words, to enjoy radio transmission, go and buy a radio. Yes, go and buy a radio first. Or open the app or radio app. You have to do it. That is the foundation. So this is the unyielding cornerstone of the entire book. Everything you're going to learn is going to die. He said, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So if he doesn't embed on the fear of the Lord, you're not going to go anywhere. So the word there, he said the beginning, barashit, the beginning. It doesn't just mean like a starting point, like on your 0.1 starting point. That's what you look behind. It actually means it is the major part, the cocoa. So it is not about the length. Okay, I started from here. It's the chief part. It's the primary asset. It's like to have a house. The primary asset is to have a land first. So it's the land you're going to build on it. So this is the controlling foundation of the entire book, the entire system, the fear of the Lord. Now, this fear is not some paralyzing, toxic terror, like, it's going to kill me. No, that's not what it talks about. God is not a dictator or whatever. It means a deep structural, irreverence I have for God. Is that unshaken awe? Oh man, God is so awesome. Is that total submission to God's supremacy, to God's will, to God's authority? That is what the fear of the Lord means. So it means you recognizing that God's definition of right and wrong completely supersede your own personal opinion. It supersede political alignment. It supersede cultural trend. What's every single thing? So we look at, we're living in a binary world, today, or sometimes non-binary world. It's okay, well, there's no right, there's no wrong. It depends on your perspective, your perception. No, there is right and wrong. There's something that even liars, people that lie, they hate it when you lie to them. Why? Because lying is bad. Even Boko Haram that kill, they are sad when you kill one of them because killing is bad. So it shouldn't be like this funny saying I saw many years ago. He said, we kill people. Let me try to remember. We kill people who kill people because killing people is bad. So you see, so it makes sense. So you cannot evenly initial. Wow, English language, man. What's the word I'm looking for? Internalize. Yes, I want to say initiate. Internalize the data of true wisdom. You cannot do it until you yourself, you have settled the question of who is the Lord. Listen, atheists will say, there's no God. Atheists. Okay, so there's no God. All right. Okay, if there's no God, okay, I'll ask you a question. What do you think about somebody who goes into a school, he takes a gun and shoots people, children, babies, whatever? Is that right? No, that's all right. So who told you it's not right? So if you say there's no God, so who gives you the right to know what is right and wrong? It is God. So no matter where you live, there are certain things that are right, certain things are wrong. So that's the internal compass. So if you say that there's no God, then you can do anything you like. But as long as you say you can't do anything you like, then there has to be a God. So I want us to affirm, before we go further, how do we compress all this together? And I also want us to do some reflective pause. I just pause to think. Today, I resolve to build my life on the ultimate foundation of reverence. It has to be reverence for God. I'm going to allow the fear of the Lord to govern my private thoughts. The fear of the Lord to govern my private thoughts, my public choices, and my marketplace transaction. What I do, it's like upreach, inreach, outreach. God must govern everything. So I want us to pause for a second and ask ourselves, in what areas of your life right now, it could be your finances, it could be your speech, it could be maybe your career strategy, education, marriage, anything. So in what area of your life have you been leaning on your own cleverness, leaning just only your own understanding rather than bowing down to God's explicit standard? In what area have you been leaning on your own? I remember, some years ago, like maybe 30 years ago or almost 30 years ago, we're in this discipling relationship with, with a couple. And our children are about the same age. And he was saying that his son is too soft. I said, what do you mean by that? He said he went to school and there was a boy who beat him. I'm talking about like a 4-year-old though. He just started school. And the parents said, go back, you have to beat the boy back. We don't know what we're doing. We are beginning to teach revenge. You are using your own wisdom. Okay, your son is being level-headed, but you're trying to go and beat, the ball back. In our society, we think it is do me, I do you. Yes, you are showing yourself that you are strong. I don't want to be a pushover. So think about it. In which area have you been relying on your own cleverness? While we are thinking about that, I want us to think about the I'm short for of word, this morning. Think about the enticements of these shortcuts that we take. In other words, let's think about how we have been resisting this how we can resist, this syndicate of greed. There's shortcut. We want to do something right. There's always a shortcut. And why do I say that? Because I see it in verse 10, or we're trying to read verse 10 all the way to verse 19. The father's issue with his son here is that there's something that's going to say, my son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. There's always a shortcut. Let's just lie a little bit. Let's just change this one. It's all over. Let's do anything so that you can just get away with this stuff. So this describes a group of people planting ambush to ambush the innocent. Now, you might say, I'm not kidnapping anybody, but even to bring somebody down, to destroy somebody's reputation, to make somebody not to advance in life, to do something, maybe for you get some quick financial gain, or you even get some ego. Wisdom is saying, foolishness is saying to you, we shall find all kinds of good things. We shall fill our house with spoil. Just come and cast your lot with us. Come and just sign. No, you don't have to do. Just sign. Just nod. So you are in a meeting. You know that this thing is wrong. You keep quiet because you don't want to. You don't want your friends to see you as a snitch because you have agreed, but you know that what they are doing is wrong. It might be just even in a small group, even in church, in a leadership meeting. Well, you know that this thing is wrong, but you keep quiet because it is your friends. You know what Professor Lumumba of Kenya said? He said, in Africa, a thief is not a thief when it's our thief. We say it in politics. Oh, the way why is exposing me is politically motivated. In other words, if it's in my party, he won't be saying it. And that's why Adam Oshomole said to everybody 3 years ago, he said, come to APC and your sins will be forgiven. You know, people are rushing there. So this is a stunningly very accurate portrayal of what we see today. That trap, corruption, cutting corner, inside shortcut, exploiting the system that you have. Think about it. Rather you paying lawman to take your refuge, people rather dump it in the canal. Now flood is coming, whatever, people are crying, whatever, but you don't know that little thing. That shortcut that you take. Wisdom is warning all of us that the syndicate of greed is an illusion. Those who run after dishonest gain, they are actually laying a trap for their own lives. People today, they go and cut electrical installation. They go and vandalize. Even, I was surprised the other a year ago, people go and cut railroad, iron condemn. They remove the boats to go and sell for what? Then tomorrow, somebody that is involved in it. People dig hole in Nigeria so that there'll be traffic so that they can sell their wares. Those who run after dishonest gain, that would say they are actually laying a trap for themselves. He says, so are the ways of anyone who is greedy for gain. It takes away the life of the owner of it. Verse 19. So if you look at it, true rebuilders like we are today, it requires you to reject any frantic speed of compromise. Anything. Are there something you know today as a disciple? This thing, if let's call the ordinary disciple does it, somebody without a title, somebody without a leadership, whatever, if he does it, you rebuild that, that person. You are quick. But when it's done by a leader, you keep quiet. I am hoping that somebody will say it. The same thing that God is telling to you. So I want us to affirm, this morning. I resolve, I don't know about you, based on this, I resolve to shut my ears to any enticements of any unethical shortcuts. People who know me for that. You cannot, to compromise on my conviction. I'd rather die. I'll tell people, I'd rather quit than when I see that my conviction is being compromised. Okay, any shortcuts, I'm going to choose the path of integrity over the illusion of any unrighteous gain. Ask yourself today, pause. Are you currently feeling any pressure by any environmental factors? Is there any pressure? either financial anxiety, either relational anxiety, pressure, anything. It could be anybody, and either to get married, to have a child, to pass an exam, to buy a car, to buy a house, anything. And his pressure is there for you to compromise your character so that you can secure this temporary win. Is there any pressure? While you're thinking about that, let them just quickly go and write up my thoughts. And here is what I would call the security of this compliant soul. The Bible gives you a security. That this chapter, as we read it, it closes with this very sobering contrast between the destruction of the arrogant, then the safety of the teachable. Okay, wisdom wants all of us that if we mock her, if we mock wisdom's correction, a sudden storm of crisis will overwhelm us. Now, let me tell you something about the book of Proverbs. This book is not a book of absolutes. Okay, it gives us a general view, because there are always exceptions. There's no exception. I'll give you an example. And people have used this, and wrong understanding can destroy somebody's faith. And let me give you an example. I've been young. Now I'm old. I've never seen the righteous suffer or his children begging for bread. That's a general statement, but it's not absolute. Because sometimes the righteous suffers. Oh, really? Yeah. And that answer is answered in the third book of wisdom, Job. What about if you say, man, this life, everything is just going, no matter how much I try to be, righteous, but what just are not going wherever. That's also true sometimes. And that is what Ecclesiastics answer. So you can see, Proverbs gives us the general, principle. Then the other books also queries that principle. But the wisdom is right. For example, let's something they said: early to bed, early to rise makes a man wealthy, healthy, and wise. Generally, it's good. It's a good principle. But does it mean that if you go to bed, whatever, you're going to automatically become rich? No. But it is things that we tell ourselves. It's a general principle. Like, for example, train a child. I think this is a very good one. Train a child in his ways. They will say, "We of the Lord," and when he grow, he will not, depart from it. Yes, generally speaking, yes. If you do the right thing, you're going to get the right response. But sometimes there are exceptions. The child might not want to, even after the child is trained. So I want you to think about that for a second. You're going to be seeing some things. Let me see another one again. Okay, in our site we say, "Omo toba mowo we ashekinio abagaje." That means if you position yourself very well, you are going to wherever. But it's not always that. Sometimes you see people who have carried themselves well, but who are quote have not seemed to be rewarded. But does that mean that carrying yourself well is wrong? No. So the principle is right. Okay, the principle, there are things, this is principle that are right, but sometimes exceptions can happen. All right, let me just quickly go. We're running out of time here. In verse 33, it begins to leave us with this structural encouragement. That's the kind of insurance policy. He said, "But whoever listens to me will dwell safely and will be secure without fear of evil." So, in other words, when you live a life that is anchored in the fear of the Lord, your security is guaranteed by heaven. Again, that is what the Bible says. But it doesn't mean that you will not be robbed on the road, or you will not lose your whatever. No, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about as a principle, it is right to do this. It doesn't mean that life will not happen to you when it happens to you. So you don't have to live. God of this, I don't have to live in chronic anxiety about, the stock market will crash or will rise, or shifting corporate dynamics, or hidden plot against me, because wisdom that I'm working with will keep my steps secure. As long as I keep doing the right thing, I'm going to be on the path of God. Now, what the word does is another thing. God will take care of them. So I affirm to resolve to remain highly teachable. I have to be teachable. I have to listen closely to the correction of wisdom so that I may dwell in absolute security and peace. Our call to action this morning, today, is for all of us to ask God for what we call a fresh fear of the Lord. You know, I know we sing that song, Eru Umbami, not a kind of Eru that is that will kill you, but it's to stand in awe. None of us today should approach this book with any casual intellectual pride. Don't think, oh, I know it or no. Today, I want to encourage all of us to deliberately, carve out maybe 10 minutes. I usually say 10 minutes. I don't know why. 10 minutes seems to be like a very good time, right? Small time. Carve out like 10 minutes window to be completely still. And as you are still, I want you to examine your daily routine, your work, integrity, your secret conversations. And I want you to consciously ask God's Spirit, the Holy Spirit, to please strip away all casual irrelevance from your heart, to print a fresh fear, a deep awe of God, a deep awe of God's majesty upon your conscience. God, I want to fear you. I want to be conscious of you. I want to be deliberate. When I want to feel that you are right here beside me. That is the fear of God. I want to be able to stand in awe of you. And that is how we are going to enter or proceed this book of Proverbs for the next 30 days or so. I'm going to stop here and I'm going to ask, what is God telling you at this time? How do you feel?